Do you struggle to understand the emotional world of INFPs? It all starts with FI. What's up, legend? It's Sherman here from Geek Psychology, where I help geeks, gamers, and creatives to live more fulfilling lives through understanding their personality type and unleashing the strengths of it. And INFPs can be quite difficult to understand sometimes. I understand that. And as the INFP translator here at Geek Psychology, because I'm an INFP myself, I hope that through watching this video, you can understand more about what introverted feeling is and how it's manifesting through the INFP, and some tips and tricks that you can do to understand and support your fellow INFP a little bit better, or at least get to understand them more. Like if you're at a work situation and you don't like them for whatever reason, hopefully this will help you just have a little bit more compassion and empathy for them. All right. So first up, we need to talk about what FI, introverted feeling, is and how it shapes the world of the INFP. Introverted feeling is a judging function based off feeling. Feeling is values, and it's kind of the people perspective. It's like leading with your heart, okay? It's how do I make a decision that is going to resonate with myself specifically, because it's introverted feeling. And I want to clarify that it's not necessarily a selfish thing, but it is quite self-focused, as I've heard say before. It's focused on your conscience, the user's conscience, their values, what's important to them. And through that comes a lot of like self-searching, self-discovery seeking behaviors. Because the more that I understand about myself, the more I can make a decision that aligns with my identity. And that is extremely important as an INFP. If I say something or do something that conflicts with my values and my identity, it's like I'm just being torn apart. It's so hard to do, and there's a lot of regret within that. And if you're a different personality type, you might not quite understand that, as why is it that big of a deal? But it is. Like I can think back to different points in my life and be like, wow, man, I can't believe I did that. That was so awful. And nobody else remembers that. Nobody else even cares, right? But to me, I did something that conflicted with my values, and it highlights the fact that I can do things that I'm not proud of. And if I can do that little thing, then I can do anything else. And that's not a great feeling for INFPs. That little bit of like extrapolation, realization of your identity and who you are is, yeah, it's unsettling. So I hope that is a first starting point for you to understand like the depth of introverted feelers, INFPs, and how they interact with their values. And with that comes a lot of emotion too. Because if you spend so much time trying to understand yourself and how you feel about certain things, then you spend a lot of time in the land of emotions. You're like an emotional cartographer, exploring out everywhere possible. And that can be exhausting for other types, but for INFPs, it's quite exhilarating. Even the dark emotions, the scary places, and things like that, we tend to go there for like a hit of a strong emotion. And yeah, so that's a thing. So there are some misconceptions about introverted feeling that I hope you avoid. And that is, as I mentioned before, it's not necessarily selfish, but it is self-focused. And when it comes off as cold and selfish, it's usually because the user, the INFP, hasn't had enough experiences to or time to process what's going on and then extrapolate that onto the other person and say, oh, that's what they're going through. Like I've said and done things that at the time I wasn't really thinking anything about it, but after I was like, oh, that was actually like really mean. Whoops. Like it didn't even cross my mind as something that could have been bad. But it was because I didn't have the moment of self-reflection before that. The last thing that I want to do is to hurt anybody or to impose on them. And most INFPs, health levels are going to vary, but most INFPs will feel the same way. Like they just want other people to live their lives, to do their own thing, as long as it doesn't like trod on other people or hurt somebody else, then yeah, it's okay. Like you do you. Another misconception is that INFPs are just like whiny crybabies. And I gotta admit, the first like 25 years of my life, as I was trying to figure myself out, it was a huge emotional roller coaster. The more I put myself into strange contexts, moved to Japan, moved to Korea, just did things way outside of my comfort zone, the more I understood myself and my values, my identity, the more I was able to like stand firm in those. But before that, it's like so strong emotions everywhere. And it's hard to figure out what is going on inside because there's no language for the depth of emotions and values and things like that. It's not like we're taught how to do that in school. you know, it's not like we can learn, you could take a productivity class or something like that, but there are probably not classes on self-understanding and values elicitation and setting up goals in your life based off who you are as a person. It's just not really there. And so we're kind of cast off to explore that and find that ourselves, and there aren't really a lot of good role models for that. So that's another issue, but it's not always like that. Like the INFPs that get to like 50, 60, 70 or whatever it is, I think are really like calm and settled and resilient because they've been through a lot of stuff. And so for INFPs, the more that we can do that, the better that we're going to be. But it's hard, it's scary. So one thing that you can do to understand and empathize more with FI users and INFPs specifically is to give them the time and space to kinesthetically feel through what is going on. If you force them to make a decision really quickly, it's quite jarring because we have to consult every different part of ourselves to see, does this align with who I am as a person? Even simple things like, what do you want to eat tonight? It's like, I don't know. I have to check with all these different experiences that I had and who I was at this time and this time and this time in my past and who I want to become. And it's quite exhausting when you think about it, but it is fun. It's fun for me anyway, because I get to personify these different parts of myself and explore different ways of living and timelines and things like that. Timelines. Yeah, that's a fun way to explore things. Anyway, so I hope that is one thing that you can do to allow the INFP some more space. And if you really want to get to know them and understand them at a deeper level, be open and quiet and talk to them about it. Just ask them questions about who they are, not in a pushy way or anything like that, but like, how do you feel about this thing? Who do you want to become? Who are you? Those kind of questions. Like I still remember back in high school, some girl sat next to me. I know, she was kind of a higher up girl, okay? And yeah, she was just like, I just want to know more about this guy, this kid over here. And I was like, I still think about that today. It was such a meaningful experience in my life. Though I was extremely awkward and didn't know what to do with my hands at the time that she asked, I was really appreciative of it. And I think that little bit of like sincerity and honesty and curiosity about the INFP can go a long way for understanding them. And hopefully that will give you more understanding and appreciation for what we bring to the world. Hope it helps.